Hello again, folks. I decided with the condition of not knowing the way the Vypyr Tube 60 was that I might as well just pull the electronics out. In this video, you will actually see how simple it is to actually pull the electronic chassis out of the Vypyr Tube 60. I myself cannot believe it only took literally a matter of 10 minutes. Again, I made sure the amp has been not plugged into an electrical outlet, but has had its cord, so it's been sitting like that for about 2 months. So that should have assured me that there was no electricity or electric charge sitting in the transformers. So again, Vypyr Tube 60, deheaded and defanged. Enjoy. Always remember, do your research. Make sure anything with an electrical charge is discharged before you handle it. When in doubt, and you're not comfortable doing this yourself or doing it yourself, take it to an authorized dealer or an authorized repair depot. Thanks. So here again, we have the Vypyr Tube 60. These fangs are also going to be coming off, since the chassis is going to be already separated from the cabinet. So again, here we go. I'm now going to turn the amp around so that we have a better view. Again, you can see the 112AX7 preamp tube shielded, 2 6L6 tubes, and the 2 transformers. Again, here are the initial first 4 screws that you're removing to separate the chassis from the body of the cabinet. These 4 initial screws, at least on this one that I have, were not very hard in tension. They took relatively little to no pressure to start screwing off, and eventually I was able to unscrew it and pull it out with my fingers once I got it started with the screwdriver. Again, not a very hard thing to do. Again, I probably should have used better judgment and used gloves at this point in time, but again, I've had the amp disconnected from power for over 2 months, maybe even 3 months, so I figure the charge is dissipated by now. Okay, the initial 4 screws are out. And here we go. Topping the amp forward to show you where the next 4 screws are, which go down into the chassis and hold the chassis up into place of the cabinet. These are long threaded screws that initially were a little bit hard to get out at times because of the simple fact of the screws being in place for the length of this amp for, as far as I know, has been almost probably 5 years. Again, once I get the screw out enough, I just simply try to finger loosen it the rest of the way. Again, this is just a regular, simple, I believe it's Phillips star-headed screwdriver, nothing elaborate. And I made sure to use a magnetic head one as well too, to help just in case any of the screws got loose. But again, as I mentioned earlier, all the screws seem to come out of place easy. Again, the back two screws are now remaining, and at this point in time I tried to decide my best strategy to remove the last two screws from the chassis and to be able to hold the chassis in place while I remove the last screw. Again, at this point in time, I really don't know what I'm planning to do with the actual chassis and guts. For all intents and purposes, it could need caps. The transformers themselves could be gone, or the actual tubes themselves could be actually gone this whole time. But again, with me not showing the nature of what's going on other than it sounding like caps leaking or so forth, my best bet is to probably just remove it from the chassis. Then I can either send it off, sell it, send it off to a repair depot, and so forth and so forth. Or in the case of that, it might make it into a head combo or a head unit. We'll see when the time comes. Here I actually had accidentally unscrewed the screw from the corner of the cabinet. Kind of felt like a bit of a dummy there. But anyways, as you can see here, as I slowly work the last screw out of place, the chassis is finally coming down out of place. I'm supporting it with the tube cage of the 6L6s, and just very gently holding it in place while I finally get the rest of the bottom of the screw finally out of the chassis assembly. And here I just very gently wiggle it, and as you can see, it just simply slides out of place. If you ever wondered what the inside of one of these looks like, that's basically how it looks. Two daughter boards and the two transformers. Again, now we have the chassis sitting there by itself with the speaker and the speaker combo cable connected to it. That again, I've been using it for the Hotone. Now, for the defanging, as I show you the cable here further, the fang itself is held in place with, again, 4 similar screws with a flat tip, as I point out here. The screws themselves don't take very much effort to come out of the front chassis of the fangs. Many people feel the Vypyr series was actually hindered because of the simple fact of the fangs. And to a certain degree I can see so, but I think that also made it great for the rest of us in the market that we're actually looking for an amp that could actually do various sounds and not just metal, that this amp actually had that hidden potential. Many people felt these Vypyr amps were only basically meant for metal tones and crap like that, but again, the solid state versions of the amp were really nice, and further so, the tube versions of this amp were actually really excellent in their amp emulation. Like I said, in a lot of ways, I've missed not having this amp working right, or to be able to play through the amp. As you can see it through many of my other videos, it really was versatile, especially with the right tubes in place. It was always a shame that PV never did actually make a Tube 60 head. They only produced the Tube 120 head, which apparently was plagued with tons of problems and issues. As you can see here, I'm having a bit of a problem getting the last screw out. And again, there's the fangs. Fangs no more. Off to the box parts with the chassis in it. So here we go. As I waddle around, there's the look at the amp without the fangs. Ta-da! Much lighter now as well too. Enjoy.